Hello and welcome into the first ever PHLY Eagles halftime reaction show in the third preseason game. Before it gets real, Jamie Lynch, Fran, Duffy here with you, brought to you by our friends over at Miller Lite. And when you're looking for a nice, refreshing, cold beer on a nice summer day, make it Miller time. Fran, Eagles kind of got dominated there a little bit in the first half, and I think the best player on the field was Hall, the quarterback for the Vikings. Made some really nice plays. The Eagles defense suffered a little bit, but the Vikings not only dominated time of possession, they seemed to dominate most facets of the game. So cancel the season. It's already over. This is all downhill from here. Here we go again. But no, they did dominate the first half.
Yeah, 4 drives for Minnesota. Got points on every single drive. You don't like to see that. 2 13-plus play drives. Don't like to see that. A lot of penalties defensively for the Eagles. You don't like to see that. That said, I'm excited to go back and watch the tape of the first half just because there were players, like we talked about in the pregame show, Cooper DeJean, like it was a little bit mixed with what we saw. We saw him blitz a couple times. There were a couple times where some guys got behind him. There was that penalty, certainly a costly penalty on that first drive that took an interception off the board. So
from my man McCollum, too.
Yes, took one right out of your pocket. But to me, I think when you look at a player like Cooper DeJean and the position he plays, sometimes the TV copy can lie a little bit. So I'm excited to go back and watch and just see exactly what happened with DeJean on a few of those plays. But certainly watching it live on TV, a little bit mixed results there first half.
Yeah, Cooper DeJean was interesting. Your meticulous note-taking is probably – I had him at least on 2 blitzes, if not possibly 3.
Yep.
So he does look like a toy a little bit for Fangio in terms of – as we talked about in the pregame show, using them in multiple different ways, and he looks like a guy that could be using some blitz packages.
It feels like watching the preseason, watching the training camp practices that I was able to take in this summer, that they're going to blitz a decent amount in this scheme.
Love to hear that.
And look, it's not going to be like the Jim Johnson, like go crazy, like all out blitzes. I think it'll be a lot of, hey, we're going to send the middle linebacker, Nakobe Dean, or whoever it is, middle line, Devin White is going up the middle, and you're dropping out a defensive end. And I think we've seen a lot of that with the slot players as well, whether it's been Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean here today, whoever it is manning that slot position, you're going to see them coming off the edge a lot. And what you'll typically see off that, the defensive end on the opposite side dropping out. So you're not losing too many numbers in the back end in coverage. How offenses respond to that, it's going to be a lot of quick throws, and we've seen that here today. A lot of quick out routes into space, some guys running wide open. Obviously, the defensive starter's not out there, and so you're expecting some bust from that standpoint, but that'll be something to watch here the first few weeks of the year.
Yeah, Jared Hall, the quarterback from BYU for the Vikings, really seemed to put the ball on the money and take advantage of the positioning of the Eagles defenders. A couple times, guys were caught a little bit, like Brandon Smith on that touchdown was a little late to react. But Jared Hall made him pay. Who stood out to you defensively as a positive here in the first half?
Certainly Julian Okwara. This is a guy that he's been in the league for a few years and got paid a decent contract out in Detroit a few years back. Now, injuries have kind of hurt him over the course of the latter stages of his career, but this is a player that's got length. He's got explosiveness, and they showed up here in this first half. He gets that sack on 3rd down to get a stop for the defense in the second drive of the game. And then in the next drive, he caused an incompletion in the red zone because of that length helping him with power off the other side. And so Julian Okwara would be a name to watch as a player that, look, if he doesn't make the 53, maybe he sneaks through and you're able to get him onto the practice squad. Everybody's always looking for edge depth, so he might be a player that could get scooped up, but that's a player that has shined so far in the first 2 quarters.
Yeah, his first blitz, he blew by this stiff tackle that, who would want a guy like that on your roster? You know what I mean? Like, it's like you didn't even get hands on him. Can this guy even play?
The rookie Walter Rouse, who ZB, I'm sure, is watching the game from the wedding that he's at, that he was pounding the table for here in studio. The rookie from Oklahoma, who was, I believe, went to medical school or law school, and ZB loved that story, just showing that, sometimes that you got to do it between the lines as well.
Yeah. Jerry Honus in the chat just says Shady getting announced into the Eagles Hall of Fame. Was just announced. So very cool.
Yes.
Shady, one of the all-time great running backs, very deserving there for the Eagles.
Favorite Shady McCoy memory?
The snow game.
Snow game. Yeah,
I mean, absolutely. I was working for Sunday Night Football at the time.
Really?
And we were down at the Super Bowl, or what's the New Orleans? The Superdome.
The Superdome, yeah.
And we're standing there, and I was standing next to Fred Godelli, the producer of Sunday Night Football, and he was watching the game because me and my buddy Mark Farzetta were Eagles fans. He knew it, and he was like, man, what I would kill to have this game, to be able to broadcast this game. I was like, it's pretty cool, isn't it?
It was nuts.
And Shady just ran all over the place.
Yes.
Very cool stuff. So from the offensive side of the football, they were, kind of minimized there. Yeah. Davis Price, I thought, kind of jumped minus the fumble, which of course is going to hurt him a little bit. But other than that, I thought he ran the ball really hard, really well. Some nice cutbacks, some nice patience. Who shined offensively for you there?
Honestly, it's kind of slim pickings.
Yes.
I would say Tyrion Davis-Price, 9 for 44 in the first half, just south of 5 yards a carry. He's a big back who's got some juice. That's why he went in the third round a couple years ago to the San Francisco 49ers. You don't like the fumble. He's had issues catching the football this summer as well. It's gotten a little bit better, but the hands are going to be an issue. So he's an early downs runner, someone that can bang between the tackles and help you in those short yardage situations. He's running hard here today. The other name you'd have to throw in there would be Paris Campbell. He had a couple nice catches there late in the second quarter. Certainly there was I believe an 18-yarder that came on that screen towards the end of the second half or the second quarter. So I would say those are the two names. I mean, outside of that, hasn't been great.
Anything offensive line jump out to you between Toth or anybody else?
Yeah, they spotlighted Nick Gates a couple times in the broadcast. We saw the nice play from
great looking offensive lineman in terms of the ugly factor, the hair, the tats. Like he looks the part.
No gloves, which is also a big part of it as well. So I would say, Nick Gates would be one. And then Darian Kennard, he had a nice block on the power play where he was the puller in the hole. So that's one where I always kind of reserve judgment until I go back and watch the film too. But those would be the two guys that flashed up front off the TV copy.
Quarterback-wise, anything jump out to you from Kenny Pickett? There was one play that Ngata probably should have had.
Put it right on him.
It was a nice ball from Pickett. Not a ton of opportunity there as you get dominated in time of possession. Anything jump out Kenny Pickett-wise to you?
6 of 9, 58 yards. You talk about the drop to Ngata.
Perhaps his best drive of the preseason?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, so this is as calm and collected as we've seen him. So for me, I think when you look at Kenny Pickett, I don't think it's been a bad half.
Okay. Now heading into the second half, who's some guys you're going to be looking for? What's going to be kind of a point of your note-taking here, do you think?
Let's see, Tanner McKee. Let's see some more on Nia Smith. We saw he had a catch that we missed on the broadcast as they were in commercial break. But you look at Nia Smith, he'd be a player we want to see if he can pop here in the second half. Yeah,
and we'll see. Maybe Aquara has a lot more room to play here. Some guys are fighting for jobs. One of those, Zach McPherson, didn't have exactly the strongest close to the half there. Maybe he's a practice squad guy. So as Ross and Scott have been telling you, a lot of guys are fighting for positions here. This game does mean a lot to a lot of guys on this roster. Any bold predictions here in the second half? Do you think we see the Tanner McKee show?
Let's go. Tanner McKee throws 2 touchdowns in the second half.
All right.
Let's go with an Eli Ricks interception.
All right. Eli Ricks was involved in some a decent amount of plays there in the first half. Josh Jobe was just late on the touchdown coverage there. So, Lou Nichols will be sure to keep an eye on for Bo as well. It looks like him and Davis Price kind of fought for that one return ball.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're fighting for every touch you can, sometimes metaphorically and sometimes literally, and those guys were competing there.
Yeah, so lots to look forward to in the second half here as we're getting back to watching it. We will be joined by Bo Wolf in the postgame show. We will carry Nick Sirianni's press conference after the game, and we'll see who can maybe go win a job here in the second half if final minutes of roster construction count for a lot, according to Nick Sirianni. He said a lot of guys last year made this team in this final game. So this does go a long way. To the viewer, it's like, to the guys in that locker room, I mean, they have careers on the line.
For some of them, it's their last time stepping on a football field. For some of them, it's their last shot at making a roster or making a practice squad. And for others, is this going to be it, or am I going to be playing elsewhere? And so it certainly means a lot. And especially Nick Sirianni, one of his staples we know is competitiveness. He wants to see guys that are going to come out and fight and scrap each and every time they're on the field. And so that's certainly something he is looking for here this afternoon.
Yeah, hopefully my boy Tristan McCollum, can come out. It was kind of messed up by Cooper DeJean to steal that interception away from him. I mean, that might have gotten a roster spot.
Well, the thing is that, I mean, the play still happened. McCollum still made the play. So even though it doesn't go in the stat sheet, that'll still be a plus in his
Does DeJean get kind of excused there a little bit because he hasn't played football in over 12. Is it over 12 months?
Yeah,
10 months?
just about. Yes, he's played in the game.
So he was kind of itching to hit somebody. Maybe they excused that one internally. I'm sure he knew he was wrong.
A little overzealous there. Certainly a penalty. It was now.
Definitely.
Look, you talk about it. Do you let that happen? It was 6.5 yards outside of the 5-yard range. But
Hey, when you lay a shoulder into him.
I mean, well, Ross Tucker and Scott Graham said in the production meeting that yesterday that Cooper DeJean said he just couldn't wait to go out and hit somebody.
Yeah.
So that was his first chance to make contact. Better that happens in the preseason rather than next Friday.
Yeah, and the very important comment in the section, shout out Steve, who is very proud to be a pee stander. Congrats, Steve. May everybody pee freely in the second half. We will be back after the game. Again, Nick Sirianni press conference, Bo Wolf with reaction from the locker room, but a lot to watch here in the second half. We will see you shortly after the game here on the PHLY Eagles podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.